Morning guys, Steve here. Today I'm going to be replacing the rear shockers and springs on my 120 series Prado, and I just wanted to show you what that process was. Now before I do that, I'm actually going to be taking some measurements from the ground to the top of the wheel arch, so I can do some comparisons. The reason I'm changing my shockers is because when I'm towing my boat, the back of the car sags a little bit. Now my car's got about 320,000 kilometres on it, and the shockers and springs that I'll be replacing them with are actually the original Toyota shockers and springs. Got them from a guy that had swapped them out of his original 2005 when they were only 50,000 kilometres old. So I'm not really into the whole getting extra height 2-inch lift kit. I just want to put the original ones back in. I'm pretty happy with the height. I just don't want them to sag, so I'll be doing the shockers and the springs at the same time. So anyway, I'll take those measurements so I can do a comparison before and after, and I'll show you through that process. Okay, I've got the wheels off. I've got the car on stands. I'm actually putting the stands on the diff because I need that to be floating. Got it on the chassis rails. So this top bolt here of the shocker is actually a 17mm bolt. Now you can't get a socket set on that, so I've actually got one of those ratchet spanners, so that'll be cool. And the bottom bolt of the shocker is also a 17mm bolt, which I can get my socket set on. So I'll be removing the shocker first, and we'll go from there. Now I found that as I'm trying to undo the 17mm nut on the top of the shocker is actually spinning, and I can't get a grip on it. So I've actually got some plumbers, I think they're called Steelsons, which I've grabbed the top of the shocker with, and that'll help me undo that top nut. Now I don't care that I'm going to mark these shockers because they're going to be thrown out. Maybe if you're keeping your shockers, or I don't know why you'd be taking them off if you're keeping them, but maybe you might want to find a different method. So the shocker's off. Now I'm just going to lever the spring out. I've actually got this breaker bar or pinch bar or whatever it's called, and I'm just going to be, as you can see there, I'm just going to be lifting the spring up over that stopper and moving it away in that direction. So this is the passenger side. Just wanted to show you the difference in the spring size. Obviously these are the ones that I'm removing, and these are the new ones I'm putting on, or second-hand new ones. It's probably about looks like about 1/4 of an inch difference. Now I'm on a bit of a slant here, but 1/4 of an inch difference between the new ones and the old ones that have sagged. Now obviously the metal might have fatigued as well, which probably causes the sag in the back when I put the boat on. So hopefully when I get these on, I won't have that problem. Now just to get enough clearance to get that spring in, I'm actually going to be using my bottle jack, that's the car's jack, just to give me a bit of extra clearance between the chassis and the diff. Now I believe that if you remove the sway bar, you can get a similar sort of result, but I'm just going to do a hack and just sort of push it apart with the bottle jack. So by using the bottle jack, it's actually given me plenty of clearance to be able to get the spring in without busting a nut. You can see there's a bit of play there. So I'll seat it in the same spot as it was with the other one that I removed. There's also a bump stop. You can see that needs to go to the top of the spring as well. But as I said, using the bottle jack, it's pretty easy to give me enough clearance to just get the spring in without busting a nut. Okay, the spring went in pretty easy. I'm just getting the shockers in now. There's a little bit of a gap, maybe 1/2 inch gap, 1.5, 2 centimetre or 1 centimetre gap between the top of the shock and the thread or the chassis. Now I just want to make that gap up so I can put the bush on and the nut. So I'm just using my bottle jack again, and I'm just lifting the axle up just to close that gap up, just to make my life a little easier when doing up that nut. I've got to say, I find these ratchet spanners, ring spanners, really handy. For the top of the shocker there, obviously you can't get a socket in there. If you're just using a ring spanner or an open-ended spanner on that, it'd just take you half an hour to get that nut out. So using that ratchet spanner, ratchet ring spanner, really helps. It's you can get the bolt off in 2 minutes. So same little hack on the driver's side. I've basically used the bottle jack just to create some clearance between
the bottom of the axle and the top of the chassis. That should be just easy to lift out, which it is, as you can see. Well, if I can show you, there it is. That's the spring out, pretty easy, not too much effort. You know, let the bottle jack do the work for you. These factory shocks have actually got a bit of extra protection welded on the front of the bottom there. You can see it's a little, I guess like a little guard that's been welded on. So, I mean, these go either way, but obviously they've been designed to get that extra protection with that extra welded shield there. So make sure you're having those facing the front of the vehicle. As I said, you can put it either way, it'll still work, but it's just, I guess, a bit of extra protection for the shock. So bottom of the shock fitted, the top's got, you know, this time it's nearly 3 centimetres gap. So again, I'm going to use the bottle jack just to lift up the axle and make up that space so I can put the nut and the bushes on the top there. Just wanted to share the wear difference, I guess, or the compression difference between the bush that's been on the car for 320,000 kilometres, which is this one here, and then the bush that's come off the car that's at 50,000 kilometres, which is this one here. You can see there's a huge difference in the compression, so good thing to swap them out as part of the shocks. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that, changing my shocks and springs on my 120 Prado. If you enjoyed it, click like and subscribe to see more things do it yourself. Cheers.